Welcome to the Concrete Chronicles, the video podcast where we peel back the layers of commercial construction chaos. Join us as we dive into the do's and don'ts of construction project management, tell tales of hilarious mishaps and last-minute overnight work marathons, and give hopefully helpful tips for architects, GCs, developers, and brands who want to make their customers' retail and work experiences delightful. My name is Rich Schnitzel, and on the other side of the screen is Michele Barnes, and together we are KRCrossing. So let's get started and talk about the retailization of healthcare. That is a big word to get out. Let's see if we can get it right the whole time. So let's set the context a little bit. Michele, let's start with how spaces in healthcare industry have functioned up until now to set the framework of kind of where we've been.
Well, I think that there's two things happening, right? There's a trend happening, right? Kind of starts everything from there. So we've got this trend of the realization that retailization is a direction that makes sense for not only retail brick and mortar locations, but healthcare, office spaces, drugstores, which are also retail, of course. But there's this definite trend of kind of getting on the bandwagon of a consumer-centric approach, right? It's not just about those hospitals of yesterday, the long maze of corridors, the very utilitarian look, sterile, institutional, white, gray, just kind of very sick-like as you enter into the building, to something that's more approachable, consumer-centric, customer service oriented, warm, inviting, using those natural materials and sustainable elements.
And so you mentioned that there's a benefit and people are realizing it, but what specifically are kind of those benefits that you see? Go into a little bit more detail for me about, like, is there a convenience thing, ability of services being together? What about, that retail shift that people are realizing is beneficial in the healthcare as well? What is that really bringing to the table?
Okay. Well, again, I think there's two things. One of them is specifically and strictly on the healthcare industry side, which is there's an awareness about being more consumer centric is bottom line profitable, right? Jumps right to the bottom line. And the reason it's doing that is because the patient itself, right? The consumer, the customer who's transitioning in their own mind in everything that they do, they're expecting a significant more, right? They want accessibility, they want convenience, they want access, they want all of those efficiency things that they're demanding in their own personal life. They're demanding those in all of their other aspects of life, and healthcare is one of them. Having the ability to online schedule, the not having the time to wait in those long check-ins and the wait times, the one-stop shopping, just like all of our shopping in stores or online are much more one-stop. So everything is there. You can go to one location. You can have that daily care. You can have your urgent care. You can have your preventative services, and they're all in that one location, streamlining everything, prioritizing, make it more convenient. And then linking back to that retailization is that consumer-driven approach, focusing more on what the patient wants, how happy are they, will they come back, and all that leads then into the four-wall profitability. The interesting thing about all of that is all of that also then transitions into what we do, and it's on the construction side. So while it's shifting, right, just in totality, it's connecting back to where we fit into the equation.
Okay. And so bringing up our role in all this, sounds great, but this strikes me as something that's very easy to say and nod your head and say, yes, I want that, and a lot more challenging to actually implement in real life. So in your experience of running, commercial construction projects, what do you think are some of the challenges that we are faced as we look at transforming a space that has come from that utilitarian style of healthcare, and we're trying to enter it into the retailization aspect? What are the challenges that we are commonly facing in that transition? What can we focus on to make this run smoother when we're actually talking about the project management and the implementation of this?
Yeah. So there's challenges across a number of facets of it. One of them is definitely in the constructability of a space, the physical design, the layout, etc. I do want to touch on the fact that the whole transformation, right? It's a different way of thinking. It's a different approach. When you transition to all this customer satisfaction, four-wall profitability, cost effectiveness, all of those efficiency elements, there's some challenges specifically that the healthcare industry needs to really focus on, because they're at risk for a lot of just issues in the care itself, right? So fragmented care, kind of the medical records. How do you make sure that all of that stays HIPAA focused and you're not focusing too much on an experience, right? And making sure that that customer comes back, but you're also paying attention to what they do, which is provide great healthcare and make sure that all of their customers get the care that they need.
Yeah.
On the physical design and the layout. Oh, so go ahead.
Yeah. So why don't you expand a little bit on the physical construction side first, and then we can touch on the mental shift that needs to happen on the healthcare side, because I think that mental shift, I think, will be relevant for people not only in healthcare but across the board. That's a common theme. Stores in general are trying to change the way that they do their business. So let's talk about the construction specific. What are those challenges and taking an old space and bringing it new, and then we can expand on the cultural and the human relational side of the equation.
Yep. Okay. I think that there's four things that they're really that kind of sum up, if you will, the physical design and the layout and the transition that needs to happen. So, right, the old hospitals of long ago days, whatever, even the 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, all the long corridors, nothing was intuitive. Everything was very stark and structured. Right. So kind of taking that layout and making it more intuitive, similar to how people think and process through when they're doing many other things within their day to day, having that easy navigation, what makes sense, waiting areas that are not just cold, but have amenities that people are getting very used to, charging stations, refreshments, making sure there's enough seating, possible outdoor spaces. So you're taking into the consideration of the environment, making sure spaces are flexible, right? So that you can adapt not only to the changing need of your consumer, whoever's walking in the door, but the changing needs of what they need once they get beyond that entryway, the changing needs of healthcare in general. Having spaces that are modular, movable. You can rearrange them. You can have a special service for one client that is very different than a special service or a specialty for another client. Going back to that kind of the environmental, making sure that you're introducing those green spaced areas, natural materials, the environments that are more spa-like, right? Kind of promote that relaxation so that you don't have that stress of moving into the space, making sure that technology is integrated so that you've got, as I said, the charging stations, right? Easy access to power. No more, you can't use your phone. You can't turn it on. You have to keep it off, making sure that you can get in there if you have to do work while you're sitting and waiting, or you're checked in. Right. You have to have your network connectivity.
Right. All great examples. And what, I mean, all of these seem like big shifts from a cultural perspective as well. So what are those cultural aspects from a healthcare side where the culture of healthcare needs to change? And maybe if we're talking about construction, the culture of the way we do business, that mindset of, we've always done this, we don't need to change, you do. How does that fit into kind of this retailization, and what are the things that we can think about of having that conversation internally?
Well, I think that it's driven by the consumer, and I think that it's something that's happening in a lot of industries, right? So kind of changing the culture, the external customer, the external client, regardless of who they are, where they are, or what their needs are. I think that they're driving this boat, and then to the culture perspective, it's part of the expectation of external customer client culture, which is now being transformed in everything that we do, hospital, retail, everything. But where it's coming from is the expectations, right? They have expectations of the personalized, more one-on-one retail centric experience. They feel empowered, right? They have an expectation of being empowered, having the information, having the internet, having the ability to be more proactive in their own healthcare needs. And all of those things need to then transition, kind of connect back to the comments that I was saying before about the increased technology, the more convenient workspaces. So the expectations that they have, the empowerment that they feel, not even that they feel, that they expect, kind of going back to the expectations. And I think that there's an expectation also of the financial side, right, for themselves, as well as the industry itself.
I think, it comes back to like, take care of your customers and business will be good and they will take care of you, which shouldn't be a shocking response, but it's certainly being proven out. And I think as more businesses, retail, healthcare, whatever your industry is, as you start to make changes that really focus on your customer and give them what they want and give them an experience that, as you said, empowers them and makes them feel good about doing business with you, it, makes them happier, which improves your business, improves your bottom line. I think that there's really the benefits go across the table. The old saying of a rising tide lifts all boats is kind of really true. If you can lift up your customers, they're going to lift you up in the same aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, you put in a couple of great analogies in there. The one thing that I just want to say before we sign off here on today, there's a lot of retailers that have done this really well, right? If you think back to the standard, just CVS's of the world, Walgreens, Walmart, all of those companies that took a look at the changing culture of the consumer, the changing culture of the consumer experience, the expectations, and continuously kind of evolve their own environments to create, to align back to what not only their existing customers looking for, but their new customer and their new expectations. And that's really where we come in, right? Because we offer the ability to guide them through that process, to support the initiative, to support our partners, our critical partners on the architectural side, and be able to, no matter where they are, whether they're a local small mom and pop drug center, or a national brand like a CVS or a Walmart, and we'll be able to provide that service to them to really focus in on meeting the needs of their changing customer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Enjoyed this conversation. Looking forward to figuring out our next topic and discussing the next helpful discussion.
So that's a wrap for episode 1 of the Concrete Chronicles. Thanks for listening.
By the way, if you find this content useful, then please do us a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment so that other people can easily find us, and maybe even share this episode with a friend. Also, follow Michele Barnes on LinkedIn. We will be releasing most of our content there. The link is in the description of this video or episode. We'd love to hear from you.